PWNcast.
Another fantastic episode of PWNcast. As always, I'm your host, Danny, and tonight I am joined with my friend Derek.
You didn't give me a code name.
You don't have a code name?
You were supposed to make one up.
How about Shotgun Crocodile? How's that sound?
There we go. That doesn't have an adjective in it, though.
Whatever. And I'm also joined tonight by Kyle. This is your first time on here, Kyle.
Hi. Hey, Internet. What's up?
We de-virginized you.
Mm-hmm.
We popped your PWNcast cherry.
I don't know if I want to be here anymore.
Just gets up and leave. So, Derek, I believe you have a topic that you want to discuss tonight. You approached me earlier today, and you're like, we need to do this.
I texted you yesterday.
You texted me yesterday. Well, apparently I don't know the difference between yesterday, today, tomorrow, next week.
Maybe my father was right. You are drunk, Danny. You're drunk.
I assure you there is not an ounce of alcohol in my system.
Yes,
there are many ounces in my system.
I wanted to speak about the Xbox One. Because I think there's a little bit of hate on it. So my phone rings. Hey, everybody.
And I guess Kyle's here because Kyle's here, and Kyle's never been on here, and
Kyle is going to offer a wealth of knowledge that me and you could not possibly hope to have in a lifetime together.
I think you may be overselling me.
No.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I'm like, this is not like a used carsman right here. Like, it's like, look, this Kyle over here is going to make your life so much better.
So what you're saying is that you want to have a sort of weird structured debate between the Xbox One and the PS4 pre-E3. Because E3 is...
I don't even think it should be a debate on the two. I just think we should debate on where consoles are headed and how I think it's not a bad thing what these consoles are doing, and I think a lot of people, a lot of gamers and hardcore gamers think it's a bad move. And there's some concerns that I won't even like try to debate and won't even try to, make seem better than they are. I guess that's a really bad word choice, but
make seem sound better.
Yeah, I won't even like some of the privacy concerns we'll just kind of foreshadow, but I won't even try to sugarcoat those because they're bad. But we don't even know yet. E3 is going to be coming out in what is it, 4 days?
It's next week.
Next week. So I'm excited about that.
Next Tuesday, I think.
But I believe, Kyle, you're going to moderate between us?
Yes. Well, we might as well start
with...
Well,
first off, I have a question, because you're bringing up this whole thing about the state of where consoles are going. People know for a fact that primarily I'm a console gamer because I just can't afford a gaming PC right now. So, Kyle's never been here. What is your primary source for gaming? So people can get kind of a perspective of where you're coming from.
Well, actually, I built a PC about a year ago, and I spent so much money on it, and that's slowly becoming my primary PC. I mean, my primary gaming device. Mostly because games look better on it, they're cheaper. It's probably going to continue with this new generation. However, I'm definitely going to buy Xbox One, PS4, maybe Wii U down the road. Just because I love new consoles, I love E3, I love new toys.
You love new things.
My PC Master Race is, you're purchasing those things? No,
I guess we know where you're coming from.
Well, I won't, as odd as it's going to sound, as I argue for the Xbox One, I will not be purchasing either the Xbox One or the PS4. If I were to purchase anything, I've been leaning towards, I might get the Wii U. Because to me, that'll be the one thing that I won't be able to play on my PC at all, is like Mario games and the new Zelda game, whenever. Hopefully that'll be better than Skyward Sword, but the thing that I won't be able to play with a PC will be Wii-type Nintendo games, which Nintendo's always had like a weird knack of making fun games, and I made even Wii Sports was just
they are the king of exclusives
fun
in today's market
when you play it, and you don't see why you're swinging your arm why it should be fun, but it was just fun to play.
They're the king of exclusives in this current market.
Yeah,
exactly.
He likes Wii Sports?
Wait, this guy's arguing for the Xbox One and he's not even going to buy it, let alone care for it? I'm done with this episode. Click.
No, see, here's... your confusion, you should stay, because you're so confused. Why is he going to argue? You'll find out.
That's
in
part
like
of the
30
fun.
seconds.
So, Kyle, you have a list that we have compiled of what we're going to go through, I guess, to compare the two pre-E3, because once next week happens, I'm already going to go out here and say that I think the paradigm is going to completely shift.
Agreed. It's sort of a list. I mean, it's very short, but yeah, we're trying to keep it a little bit structured here. And I figured we'd start with just first impressions. We might as well go to the PS4 since it was revealed first back in February, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Was it March?
No,
No,
February.
it
No, it was
February.
because we thought the Xbox was in March.
So I figured we'll just go around and say, well, Danny, PS4, Sony conference, how'd you think they did?
For the most part, I was pleased. There were some things that did concern me. The lack of a console being shown greatly disturbed me. It's like, is this thing being manufactured now? Is it going to come out next, like 2014, not 2013? The lack of talking about PlayStation Plus. The thing that I really did enjoy from the PS4 conference was the fact that they primarily focused on games and kind of kept things like entertainment with movies or music apps and things like that kind of on the back burner. I believe one of the quotes that came out and said from the representative was that they are a gaming console first and entertainment comes second. Of course, Microsoft would later come out with... But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that, yeah.
So, the controller, the share button, I think is going to get pretty annoying pretty fast. Constantly sharing, oh, I got this trophy and you didn't. So I think that's going to get abused really quick. I do like the features such as streaming directly to Twitch. I think that's a great feature and eliminates my need for a capture card completely, other than maybe saving the file to do commentary over at a later date. But other than that, yeah, for the most part, it was an overall positive impression, despite some falters here and there.
How about you, Derek?
I wasn't as impressed as you. I mean, I watched it and I enjoyed it, and it didn't resonate with me. I just watched it and enjoyed it for what it was. The exclusives they announced, what was it, Killzone or?
There was Killzone, Infamous.
I felt like, oh, you have another first-person shooter, and you shoot people. I think I don't know why any company, right, and even like you could argue like the new Black Call of Duty game, why any company should push a first-person shooter in their presentation for their console, because I mean, how many have we played now since the original Xbox and PlayStation?
Yeah, but you
2
look at the
came out?
numbers, Battlefield 3, Call of Duty, these
Yeah,
are
but they're
the
all for
tentpole.
multiplayer, and all these conferences show these like, oh, we've made fish that swim away from you, and now you're the underdog in the new Call of Duty, and it's like, I don't care about the storylines in any of these games, and I don't think many people do, including Killzone, and I haven't played any of them, but I can maybe guess, and I could be possibly wrong, but I have a feeling that not many people are going to want to play this game strictly for the single player, which is what they always present. They always like, look at this cool mission where you have to kill the bad guys, and they're doing horrible things like shooting innocent people who are like, why don't they just take them as prisoners? Oh, they're going to shoot them, and you're like, oh, I'm not emotionally involved in this at all. And
I think the community for Killzone's a little bit different than your average Call of Duty player. I think a lot of them do care about single
That
player.
could be true.
In fact, I would venture to say that the Killzone community is more focused on single player than it is the multiplayer experience. Because I bought a PS3 maybe about a year and a half ago, and playing through Killzone 2 and 3 for the first time and noticing that the numbers for multiplayer have never been that strong and how this was more of a single-player charged game. The thing about the Killzone series that I think, where you're coming from, you're looking at it, you don't think you're impressed. Well, the thing about the Killzone series to me is that it's like a B movie with an A movie's budget, kind of. It's a really gimmicky franchise. It's space Nazis. That's what it is at its core, and it's a gimmick. It's not meant to be taken super serious. It's a very strange franchise. It really is. It's one of those weird FPS anomalies that just don't resonate within the Call of Duty or Battlefield crowd at all.
It is weird how they always set it up to be a Halo killer when it just time after time you look at it, that's not your Halo killer. Like Uncharted, maybe The Last of Us, depending on how it sells, that could be like something comparable to Halo sales, but Killzone I don't think ever. unless this new generation does something new, I don't see it happening.
It was just Sony's answer to, oh, well, this is a space marine, and he goes around fighting aliens.
Yeah, check that off the list.
Yeah, it's Sony's simple answer to that. Well, space Nazis, why not?
As for me, I thought they did great for just a system unveiling. Having Mark Cerny up there was really great for just that old school gamer cred. I love how they're embracing indies now. You have The Last Witness. Is that what it's called, right? The Last Witness?
I believe so.
By
yes.
Jonathan Blow.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that indies are responding very well to it, and also how much they're not responding well to Microsoft's approach to them, which we'll discuss that later.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I thought it was great. You guys mentioned a lot of good things.
Yes, Sony is definitely making a huge indie push, which I think is something that they've lacked with the PS3. The PS3's online indie market, for the most part, has been relatively lackluster. And now with things like the Vita and how they're just giving away dev kits for the Vita to all these indie game developers saying, please make something for this. And we're getting positive response with that, and the Vita integration with the PS4 really sells the Vita, because the Vita, even though it is a handheld device for playing games, also has a major utility with the PS4 comparable to Xbox's Smart Glass system. And the fact that they're proposing that if you don't have a second controller but you have a PlayStation Vita, well, here's your second controller and here's all your statistics that you need in order to play the game, and you can play split screen. That, to me, is a cool concept.
I question how well they implement it, though, looking back at the PS3, PSP integration, even PS Vita. Like, I really hope they pull it off, but I'm not convinced, really, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say overall for the showcase, I thought Sony did great, especially when you look at their PS3 unveiling years back and how awful that went. Granted, they didn't really announce a price or anything for us to get pissed about, like with the PlayStation 3, but
I think that's actually
overall
one thing
great.
that both of them did that was very smart, is they didn't say anything about any price. And they just said, here's the things that we're doing, here's the things that we're going to introduce, and here's like what we're going to do moving forward, and that's it.
Well,
and
you can tell.
Everyone's like, oh, there's been like, I think I read a headline that was like, Xbox One, $799, !! And like, we don't know these things, and they're all speculative.
Well, you can tell both companies are eyeing each other quite a bit, so
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing they're just waiting till the last minute, which is going to be E3, and then it's done after that.
Yeah, because, I mean, I guarantee you that the moment that E3 closes up shop this year, that's where you're going to see, like, Amazon and GameStop open up pre-orders for the consoles. And I think because you're talking about this $799 rumor range, going into the price of the PS4, this is extremely important because you mentioned just a few moments ago about the PS3 and how big of a deal that was when they announced that, and they're like, what was it, $799 or something like that, or $599?
$599.
Yeah, $599, and everybody laughed.
Yeah.
They either gasped or they laughed, and I think that might sadly come true again this year, but with both companies, because for a proposed price, a rumored price of $799, you might as well just go out and buy a gaming computer.
I don't think that's going to be it. That sounds way too high. That sounds ridiculously high.
My prediction is 500 max.
Now,
I wouldn't be surprised if it was 6. I wouldn't be surprised if
I would. Just looking at the last generation and how much that hurt Sony, I don't think either of them are pushing for 6.
For $599?
Yeah, for $599. I think the
No,
sweet
not at
spot's
all.
400 is probably what they're going for, and I hope that's what it is.
Well, do you think... Now, my question is... Because I don't believe when the PS3 and Xbox 360 came out, when they came out, there was just one variant, right?
2.
There was 2 for both of them?
Yes.
20 gig model for the PS3 and a 60,
yes,
I think.
correct.
And then the 360 had a standard, which was a 12 gigabyte, or was it a...
Yeah, that is...
Because I remember there was a 12
Right,
gigabyte
right.
model and a 20 gigabyte model.
I remember the 20.
Yeah.
12... Was it 12? Did the memory card units come out later? Like the
No,
256?
those were a launch thing.
Okay, and then
But
there
then
was
they
that.
eventually phased them out.
Because I figured there was one with a hard drive and one without.
I believe.
Because that was before like Grand Theft Auto and stuff, where that stuff really became an issue.
And installing games onto hard drives
Exactly.
and that big push and everybody getting mad. I actually know somebody that still to this day has their 12 gigabyte
Well, speaking of
360 drive.
Microsoft launch SKUs, we had a recent unveiling. Microsoft that everyone just loved, enjoyed. Everyone's up in arms. Just loving them some Microsoft. So.
Oh man, the rumor mill is ablazing, and the fact that they've had to come out the day after and go, well, this is not quite true, this is not quite true, and people are having to take down articles that they...
I don't think they were really expecting that. I think what they wanted to do
They
was...
being Microsoft?
Yes, they wanted to do their... They wanted to have, like, part 1 and, like, the unveiling, and then they were like, alright, now just stay tuned until E3, and we're gonna, like, really lay it on you and, like, show you the games, and we're gonna show you the controller and how it works and all this, and, like, we're gonna show you Kinect. And...
Well...
People didn't want to wait that long, and they got angry. Because... And like, you guys, like... They did a very bad job at explaining certain things, like privacy and the DRM and having to turn it on and having internet checkups and all these things that, like... No one, they didn't really explain, and like you said, the next day they...
There were many things that Microsoft came out and said, but it was all the stuff that we kind of already knew, and they're still keeping us completely in the dark about the things that we really want to know. And I still feel like that even at E3, they're going to keep us in the dark on some things. I have a feeling that when this console drops, that a lot of people are going to discover things about this console that they're not going to like.
I don't see that happening.
I mean, like, even though we know about the possibility of a privacy issue with their Kinect interface, I don't think very many people do know about that. I don't think that mom who is going to buy her little Jimmy an Xbox One for Christmas is going to know that there's a potential there where that Kinect camera can be used to find out what's going on in the room. I mean, there's...
I kind of disagree with you. I think you're not giving normal people credit of staying in the news, because I feel as when these consoles get close to being released, it's gonna hit the mainstream news, and these complaints and issues are going to be they're not going to be passed over by the mainstream. I have a feeling they'll be known. I don't think they'll be... Obviously, a mom who's buying this for Jimmy isn't going to read, Kotaku and GameSpot to read, IGN,
all the gaming websites,
to read and find out about the console. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I don't think they're gonna be so naive as to not, think,
Well, and let's take for example what I'm talking about with the privacy issue. The potential is here. They could do this and implement it if they wanted to. Say you have a family of 3 people, and you want to buy a movie off of Xbox Live's Marketplace, rent it or whatever for $5, let's say. Because of how the Xbox One works with the fact that it is able to detect your own unique facial structure and recognize you when you boot up the console, okay, well then you say you want to have 4 other people come over and watch this movie. The potential is there for the Xbox to go, stop a second, we're going to charge you more because you have more people coming over and watching this movie.
That sounds absolutely absurd to me.
But the potential is there.
That's absurd, though. I don't think that... I mean, like, that would be a unit killer. I mean, people would be so mad about that. And that's...
Well, the Kinect as...
No one... And here's the problem. Then no one's going to buy stuff from the Kinect anymore. So Microsoft would kill its business that way. Because once let's say that's really how it works, and I invite you all to come over and it charges me extra, I will never... have you guys come over to watch a movie on Xbox One ever again. I will go to Redbox, which is like 5 minutes away, or I'll go on Netflix on my computer, Amazon on my computer, and I will buy it there, and we will watch it some other way. But that's not smart business in my opinion. Now, granted, I'm not like a leader of a Fortune 500 company, but strictly thinking that no one would want to deal with that and do it again. Like, hey, come on, everyone, you have to pitch in $2, and we're gonna watch Star Trek: the plot hole movie.
Yes.
But...
Well, since we already started in, I was just curious, just conference-wise, like Danny, Microsoft, how'd you think, just from a conference standpoint, from what they advertised, how'd you think they did?
This is trying to aim for the biggest mainstream audience in existence. I felt that there was a almost complete disregard for gamers at this conference. I think that they're trying to sell this as a high-end cable box that also has the ability to play video games.
I just rolled my eyes at you.
I know you did. You did this whole spaghetti monster
This is where
thing.
I have a really big problem with people who are upset. I think your lust and want for this gaming console is wasteful and just... What is it? When it's old,
archaic.
Yes, idea of that you're gonna get a just a game console, because that is so in the past. And
Well,
so
just in terms of their conference, like, how do you think?
Again, it was the same as the PlayStations. It was they showed me stuff and I watched, and I wasn't blown away. Nothing blew me away. I wanted to bring this up too, that I think we're hitting a point in technology where, like, I remember when I first got the Nintendo 64 and we played it, and there were 3D models, and I think it was Star Wars: The Shadow of the Empire, and I was flying a speeder in Hoth, and it was crazy to me. And then moving from the 64 to the Xbox, and there was, like, playing Halo and how big of a jump that was. And then from the Xbox to the 360, the graphics looked better, but there was nothing like the previous two jumps. You know, going from Star Fox on the SNES to Star Fox on the 64 was, like, so amazing and awesome. And going from GoldenEye to Halo and to the first Call of Duty was amazing. But now I think we're hitting that point where, like, every new console is not. I think it's slowly diminishing, like, in how cool I want to say, and, like, I feel like, because I think we there was a post that showed the pixel ratio of 60. I'm trying to remember. It was 4 models of a head, and the first one was really crappy. What was it? I think I saw it with you, right, Danny? And the last two, it went by like a 10 million more pixels or something, and the face didn't look any better. And it looked better, but not to the extent of you would expect.
But not like up. A major uncanny valley change.
We should link that in this.
No. If you could find it, I'll put it in the description box if you can find it.
And I feel as though that's how this new generation resonates with me. I'm not really that impressed, because other than things looking better, and maybe, like, we can have Battlefield 4 with, like, 64 versus 64 or 32 versus 32 on humongous maps. Other than that, I'm not. This is one of the reasons why I'm just not really that impressed or excited about any of these consoles, because other than the entertainment, which is what everyone seems to get mad about, I don't see games getting that much better with this new hardware.
But in terms of their conference, how did you think they did?
I thought it was okay. I didn't really. I wasn't impressed. I thought they did good as a conference, and they should have. I think they should have explained a little bit more. And maybe they'll learn next time, but
hopefully, I mean, you could tell they're going for the Apple crowd. They're going for bigger than Nintendo. They're going after the direct competitor. You can see it with their Windows 8 tablets, just Windows 8 in general, and you can see it with Xbox. They want it to be the thing that makes Apple TV, if that ever ends up coming out, stupid and useless. Yeah, they want to be the next Apple TV. They want to be in everyone's dorms.
Well, let me clarify real quick for you, Derek, because you know, you're talking about how I'm kind of butthurt about the fact that it's not a gaming console first and entertainment. I don't have a hatred for the entertainment part of the Xbox One. That's not where I'm coming from at all.
Don't lie to us, Danny.
I just don't think that Microsoft should be coming out and with the entertainment part of watching television and watching movies as a primary deal-breaking point of what has been called by even them themselves a gaming console. Despite the fact that many other times they've called it an entertainment system.
They really should just say it's an entertainment system. They should just... They should kill that title.
Games, to me, come first. Because what stops me from buying a Blu-ray player that has Netflix, Pandora, Vudu, or what else they want to integrate into the Xbox One? What stops me from doing that? The fact that the Xbox One has the capability of playing games. And if they don't want that to be their primary focus,
who says they look? If you strip away if you strip away all that stuff, it's still going to be a gaming console. Like, it's the specs of it are comparable to the PS4. It's not. It's not a gaming console. It is, but it's also. I mean, that's why I like the term entertainment console, because it's like an umbrella. It fits. Gaming console fits in there, television fits under there, Blu-ray player fits under there, streaming fits under there, Netflix, everything fits in that big bundle of entertainment console. So not only can you play your video games, which I don't think it's going to take a back seat. Like, they didn't say, well, we can't put that good of a graphics processor in here because it needs to be able to play TV. Like, they didn't do that. They built a good gaming console, and they also added all these things, and they're like, let's reship this and make it an entertainment console. And now everyone's upset about that, And the only problems that the only things they didn't do that they should have was been a little more clarify a little more on the privacy issues and clarify a little bit more on the DRM and the online requirements. And I think if they'd done that, they'd have made it. They had a really rock solid conference. Yes, my words. And
well, okay, so the part, and you watched the conference, didn't you, Kyle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you remember when they were talking about how they were integrating it with cable television and pulling up your cable guide through your cable provider and being able to scroll?
Like a customizable thing integrated with Kinect, yes.
And they even said this during the conference. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, or when the console launches, this feature will not be available to anybody else besides Americans. Europe won't get it. The Asian market won't be able to get it because apparently they're still negotiating with the companies that reign over there. Well, what happens if you live in a country which, let's face it, there's probably going to be some European countries out there which only have one dominating cable company? What if they say no?
Well, then you're just buying a gaming console. I mean...
Well, that's taking away a major advertising sell point of this console away from the consumer.
Also, we don't.
That's true, but then why buy? Then you're just saying then it's comparable to the PS4, which doesn't have TV in it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So, what is the point of?
Well, before you even get there, the system does have an HDMI in, which I'm sure they're also doing the cable information for the customized guide. But I'm guessing worst comes to worst, it could just be a video pass through. So worst case scenario, you got that. And to your question about the different markets, Asia, Europe, I don't think it's any secret that Microsoft is going for America. That's their stronghold.
Oh, yeah.
This is their home turf.
This is really the only country where the Xbox product sells like hotcakes. Everywhere else, it's all Sony. Mm-hmm. It's like what we saw in the 90s with Nintendo versus Sega. You go over to Europe, Sega was dominating over there. Good luck finding a Nintendo.
Agreed.
So... and that's where Sony's major advantage is when it comes to having a console war. I hate that term so much. It all comes down to personal preference. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, the PS3 has vastly outsold the Xbox 360. What's to stop the PS4 from doing even better in the worldwide market?
It probably will.
Well, actually, I question that. I'm worried. I think if anything is going to stop it, it's the people they're catering to. I question the viability of a gamer. So yes, I know we're getting ahead of the list. The list is gone now.
The list is irrelevant.
I question the viability of a gamer-centric, just solely gamer-centric console in the next coming years. Because if you look at it, most hardcore gamers, at least my age, they're going to PC. They're going to Steam. Mm-hmm. They love Steam. Cheaper games. It makes sense. And I'm guessing it's going to shift again more towards family. I think Wii U, or Wii console, not so much Wii U because it's not selling so well. That kids who can't make a PC, I don't know if there's enough support there to not only support that console, support big AAA games for that console, which is great that they're investing in indies. But then again, you go on PC, it's Indie City over there.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
I hope it works out for them, but I don't know. I think Microsoft, even given all the shit it's gotten lately, I think it's in a better seat to succeed with
because
its TV
it offers
and extra
more
stuff.
than just gaming, and that.
Well, if it's one thing so far since I haven't seen the PS4, I will say that unlike a lot of people on the internet who have complained about this, I actually think the Xbox One aesthetically is pleasing. I think the whole Betamax thing that they're going for, I actually like it. I like the design of it, even though a lot of people are like, it looks like a VCR. Well, yeah, it's called an Xbox. It's going to be a box. They're expecting some kind of F-18 jet engine thing, I guess.
I've never really
sleek with sharp edges.
Exclusives?
Well, before you start, I've never really cared about the box. I mean, especially when you look at previous consoles like the freaking GameCube, the purple lunchbox. I'm fine with whatever. Just
as long as it plays games.
Yeah, don't be too freaking huge. I mean, just fit well and do what I want it to.
Well, I mean, when I look at my TV stand and I look at the consoles that sit below the television and I look at the Xbox One, I could sit there going, yeah, it's a bitchin' ass Betamax. That right there. I mean, it's. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. It'll probably be the most
my PC
aesthetically
goes blue.
pleasing. Yeah, what you do. It also makes a lot of noise. What's your point?
It does. It produces a lot of heat too. It keeps me warm at night.
Even though we live in a climate where it's never cold. Never cold.
I wanted to bring up exclusives because that's another thing I think people like you, Butthurt Danny over here, are way too upset about. Because I remember you said they announced 15 exclusives. I remember when there was like 70 exclusives coming in 1 year.
I think I can phrase this better. Back in my day, they used to have 100 exclusives a year.
And that is such an antiquated thought of there's 15 exclusives isn't enough. You realize, like, as a game developer, I don't want to be an exclusive. I don't want to be to Xbox.
It depends the deal you struck. I mean,
that's
Epic,
true, but
wonderful.
I mean, that's why like Naughty Dogs is probably making a shit ton of money to make games, make amazing games for PlayStation. But if I'm just an average game developer, I'd rather make my games that are going to hit the PC, the Xbox, the PlayStation, and maybe I'll make a Wii version.
For the hell of it?
Yeah, and I'll make all the money that way. Like that, I think
that depends. I mean, if we look, recent example, Fuse by Insomniac, their first multi-platform game. They don't have any special deal struck. Yeah, I don't know. There's no sales numbers in, but critically, it's doing okay. And I think sales are probably going to be similar, if not a little bit worse. Like, you don't just get money for an exclusive deal. You get advertising, you get QA, you get just support on all levels because they want it to be good. They want it to be a selling point for the console.
Exactly, and not every game developer is.
I'm not saying that. I think you're underestimating the power.
I mean,
I'm not underestimating. I just think if even from the console's point, like, do you want to have 15 developing companies that you're in contract with making you games when one of them might make a game like Fuse? Instead, when you can just buy, you see what I'm saying? Like it's a risk for both parties. Not both parties, but it's a risk for the consoles to have 15 contracts and 15 companies, or a large multitude of companies making games for them, when they could just as easily not have those contracted and get them on multiple platforms. What you want is to have companies like Naughty Dog and 343 and before Bungie, big name companies as your developer, and that way you can say, here's what we have, they don't have it. But what you don't want is to have 50 companies all like, here's all these games we're going to have exclusive.
I disagree. I think if you had the Xbox One come out and say, in our first year we're going to have 50 exclusive titles, and then for the sake of
how do you know any of those are going to be good?
Well, for the sake of the argument with the PS4, say you only have 8 exclusive titles. Now, which console are you going to buy? Video game quality aside, the number right there, well, they're having more exclusive titles. There's going to be more things to do on this compared to the other.
In our present age, if they said that, half of those would be games. And
that's the whole purpose of exclusives in the first place, is to get you to buy one console over another.
And if you don't have good exclusive games, like what's the new one?
Folklore?
No,
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. I'm sorry, I can't think today. The Last of Us. That right there is a huge selling point for PS4.
PS3.
PS3. Is it not coming out for PS4?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
I believe it's a swan song for the PS3. Really.
That is a huge selling point for the PS3. What you need is games like that, not games like
well, that's the thing.
Well, it's also a launch lineup. I remember we got Cameo was okay. We got
Perfect Dark Zero
in Xbox 360, and I just mentioned Folklore, which was an okay game. I mean, you're gonna get mixed results.
Yeah,
it's still game companies.
Usually, launch lineups in my history with new consoles have always been bad.
They're pretty iffy.
However, with this upcoming Xbox One and PS4, because of the fact that they have some cross-platform titles, like you get Assassin's Creed 4 that's going to be available on the launch of each one of these consoles. You have Battlefield 4, which is going to be available on launch for each one of these consoles. I think we're going to kind of erase that whole stigma of the fact that launch titles are bad, but exclusive titles, I can't really speak for because, well, we really don't know anything about. What was that? That Quantum something that they had at Xbox One was like Quantum Break or something.
Yeah, that was a confusing trailer.
Yeah, it was half live action.
That's my point, though.
Animated,
like you guys said, historically, launch games haven't, exclusive launch titles haven't been very good.
Mm-hmm.
They still matter, though. They matter, especially in early console life, like our console wars. exclusives matter. Like, you can say Metal Gear Solid 4 in 2008, like, people hype that up, like, this is a system
It's
seller.
Metal Gear Solid, though.
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You don't know what the exclusives
up until
are. It's just a number
the
right now.
HD collection, Metal Gear Solid was an exclusive franchise.
Yeah.
Which
That's why when, like, Xbox kept coming on the stage, like, oh yeah, we got Final Fantasy. It was such a big deal, because that removes the selling point from one console to the other.
Mm-hmm. I think that was actually a bad move, speaking of which, in the HD collection for Konami to switch over and have the 360 let them have that, because it didn't sell well on the Xbox.
I slightly disagree with you guys. I don't think exclusives are that big of a deal.
I'm just saying, anecdotally, looking at previous consoles, like, this is the time when they, like, maybe you're just viewing it through the lens of the last couple of years, where people already have consoles and they're mostly sold to the hardcore kids who care about this, but beginning of console cycles, it matters.
Oh, yes. I would
huge.
have to agree with Kyle on this one. It definitely makes a difference.
I mean, and we're also talking about Xbox here. We're talking about Halo.
Well, I'm okay. Then
Which is not even a Halo launch game coming out.
At least you're never gonna see. You're never gonna see again a console come out or whatever comes next that has more than 15 or 20 exclusives, because that's just not the way the market is right now. Because, like I said, unless you can sign contracts with amazing developers, which if you're like a BioWare or who did BioShock?
2K, just 2K.
2K Games published it.
Yeah.
Irrational Games.
You don't want to. You'll probably sell more because people know your games are good. You can probably sell more, hitting multiple consoles and multiple platforms.
So you're talking on these developers aren't releasing new consoles.
That's what's killing Square Enix right now, is the fact that they started going cross-platform. The Final Fantasy franchise is bleeding them money because they decided to put it on every other console besides the PlayStation.
I'd be willing to bet there's a lot more going wrong with Square Enix than
yeah,
I was about to say,
but it's a contributing factor.
I'm sure, yeah.
Because, I mean, even if 13 sold horribly and 13.2 sold horribly, if you're only releasing it on one console, it's not going to be anywhere near as bad as releasing it on 2.
Well, I mean, I guess you are arguing cell architecture versus Xbox 360, so maybe, I don't know the cost related in porting it over, but exclusives matter right now. They're going to matter huge in this one. Especially when you're talking about kids who get so crazy about console wars. Like, that's a big bullet point right there. Like, oh, we got this. Why do you think Killzone has been bred up to be this Halo killer? There was a very distinct reason. Like, PS2 looked at it like, okay, this Halo thing is getting big. Xbox was supposed to... It still didn't sell that well, but Halo kept it through. It's like, okay, we need something... This is a phenomenon now. We need to respond to this.
I'm probably in the minority on this, but I liked Killzone 1 more than Halo 2.
Really?
Yeah, actually.
You're super minority.
I really liked the first Killzone game because I thought this game is so cheesy that it's like watching an 80s sci-fi movie, and I love it. But then again, that's just my thing. So, I used to play that thing online religiously on PSN 1.0. Which, speaking of PSN, I guess we could gravitate towards the online infrastructure of what we know so far and what we hope to have with each console's online.
PC's better on all accounts.
Well, to be fair, all you need to do is pay your internet bill
Exactly.
for PC and have an Ethernet cord.
I mentioned this before we started, and I'll just throw it out there again. I have a feeling that if PlayStation doesn't fuck anything up, there's nothing stopping them from totally blowing by Xbox Live. Unless Xbox Live starts giving incentives to joining Xbox Live, then there's no reason why... That right there, to me, seems like the biggest selling point. Like, you come to you buy our console, and you pay every month to have PlayStation Network Plus, and we'll give you free games to play. We'll give you free demos, which they did that in Xbox. But I mean, just like you said, like what are the games that they were doing?
This month, well, I've already got the first one downloaded, but this week they released Deus Ex Human Revolution, if you're a PS Plus member. So, Deus Ex Human Revolution was a universally well-received game, and yeah, just because I'm a PlayStation Plus member and I paid $50 a year.
Now, you know what you get with Xbox Live? You get, every now and then, there's certain demos that you can get.
Early.
That other ones, yeah.
I can get my Call of Duty DLC 2 weeks before the PlayStation does.
And I don't feel as though that's not a very good... Like, and there was a time when Xbox Live was just...
Yeah, it was the shit.
Killing. Yeah, it was killing PlayStation, and PlayStation responded beautifully with, like you said, giving out free games, getting a better network. I mean, the attack didn't help at all, but
yeah.
I think that's going to help them.
A lot of the Xbox fanboys do point out the fact, well, PSN had this outage that happened for like a few months or whatever. Well, the same damn thing can happen to Xbox. It can. This whole weird myth.
They're not run by Macs.
Well, the whole weird myth about because you pay for Xbox Live, you get better protection. It's a myth, exactly as I said. There's no legitimacy behind that at all, that you're getting any special treatment compared to what you would get with PSN. I dropped the Xbox 360 because I was sitting there one day and I booted up Xbox Live and I'm looking at it going, I paid Microsoft $60 a year, and I'm just looking at my home screen and half of it is advertisements.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
And apps.
And going back to PSN versus Xbox Live, I agreed with you before we started the podcast that PSN's doing amazing things right now. I think it's a better deal right now. As for next console cycle, I just don't... Going back to the gamer-centric console versus what Microsoft is trying to do, depending on how well Microsoft does, I think Xbox Live will probably be the better buy, just because it's going to be a family console. You'll be able to do TV, picture-in-picture with, probably games at the same time, Twitter. Whereas PSN, we know what we're getting. We're getting basically the same thing that we got last with possible awesome cloud architecture. But it seems like where Xbox is moving, they're moving more towards next generation entertainment system, one box, one room. Whereas PSN is like, hey, we've just taken the things that we did well before, and we're just expanding upon that. And I don't know
if that's gonna be enough.
I don't know if that's gonna be enough. Yeah.
The only major change I can foresee,
share button versus whatever Xbox is doing.
The only major change that I can see within Xbox Live with the Xbox One is, for example, as of right now on Xbox Live, you have to pay for an Xbox Live membership in order to pay Netflix to stream Netflix. It's very dumb. One of the reasons why I quit. I can easily foresee Microsoft going, hey, you know what? The Netflix app, the streaming apps or whatever, you don't have to have a gold membership to do
Especially
this.
when you get families involved, and now you're competing with like Roku and stuff. They don't do that, so I can see that.
Yeah, I can see. But as for the gaming aspect of it, I don't foresee them changing a thing. I think you're still going to have to pay to play.
Yeah, I could agree. And again, that's probably, we're going to get more news from E3 because just so much is unknown right now.
And Sony's already come out and said that they are going to carry over PlayStation Plus to the PS4, but they said that they're going to change a few things about it. I don't believe that they're going to drop the whole free games aspect of it. But I feel like at launch, because of the lack of titles that you have when you launch a new console, I don't think you're going to get a whole slew of PS4 games to start out with.
Probably not.
They're probably going to bombard us with stuff like PS1 classics, PS2 games, stuff for the nostalgia crowd to have
also,
on
I
the new
imagine,
console.
depending on what happens with used games, I could see PSN Plus catering to that.
Oh, yes. PS Plus is... It's such a great system right now, and I would hate for them to take away the free game aspect, because then there's really no point. It's the whole point of Plus in the first place, is that it's $10 cheaper than Xbox Live, and we give... It's like one of those things, it's like, well, yeah, you can play online for free, but if you want to pay us money, we'll give you like $1,000 worth of games in a year. It's not a bad deal. I mean, you don't get to pick what they are, but... And we'll also give you discounts on sales and on already existing sales and things like that.
Yeah,
getting upwards to like 75% off on a game. So, I mean, like right after Assassin's Creed 3 came out, they had a sale on it where they dropped it down to $40, like 2 weeks after it came out. So it's in a sense, it's kind of mimicking Steam, but you have to pay for it. Unlike Steam, where it's just you download Steam and then get deals and get deals. So, but I mean, I think that PSN is probably going to reign supreme when it comes to what you get for your money.
What gamers want.
Yeah.
Maybe I do agree with what you said, Kyle, about when we look at the future. Obviously, we can't look at the future. We don't know what's going to happen, but I think the best guess is possibly the Xbox has the most to show and the most room to improve, whereas the PlayStation will hopefully continue doing what they're doing, and they could do well doing that. But like you said, if Xbox caters to that more generic and normal crowd, they could really, that could be a huge selling point. I mean,
that's where they are. That's where they are right now. They're with family. They're with the COD players. They're with, I would say, kids who are playing COD. So really, they just got to keep that going, and that exclusive deal for early DLC packs. I'm sure that's going to help them a ton. So I'm just questioning, like, will gamers nut up and actually support PlayStation, depending on whatever happens.
Well, I mean,
with DRM.
PlayStation also has deals like that with early DLC. It's just with competing franchises. Like Xbox Live gets Xbox Live gets the Call of Duty DLC early. Well, PSN gets the Battlefield DLC early. So you see a lot of competing franchises doing this with competing consoles. It's like, well, I can get this early on the...
But then we go to the Battlefield example. What's its main SKU, would you argue? PC.
Oh, yeah. Battlefield's primarily a
And that's
PC,
what I'm worried about.
game.
I'm worried about those gamers going to PC and maybe even getting Xbox because it's a family thing and just not quite supporting Sony as much as they're saying they will.
This is a really good segue into something we weren't really going to talk about that I think we should, is the cheaper personal computers that play video games. Like, I know the Valve Box is Steam.
Oh, that thing is not going to be cheap.
Well, no, I've read that there's multiple variants, and you can stream games on your computer.
Yeah, I've also heard that they're pricing it starting out at $1,000.
Well, that's ridiculous, because I can build my own computer for $700,
I know.
$800, $600.
That's the point of the Steam box, is to have a high-end computer that in the future, for the next 10 years, you can fully customize.
There's going to be cheaper variants of that, and that's...
I hope so.
I think they have an uphill battle with that, because that $1,000 one isn't Valve, just to be clear. That's another company working...
Yeah, okay. All right.
them, but I think people who love Valve, people who play all their games, people who love Steam... They already have the computers, and they shop all year round for the cheapest parts. So that's why'd you mention them? I'm wondering.
Just because they're the ones that
I'm glad that you brought them up.
Eventually, there's going to be. I really believe there's going to be a computer or a company that offers a computer for $300 to $600 that can do all the things the console can do, and also be a computer.
Yeah, I agree. They'll have like a desktop. It'll probably be, I'm guessing, Apple. I'm sure Apple has some sort of thing.
They'll probably
really push for, hey, this can be your family computer, and it can play video games, and this can be your TV, and this is going to be your entertainment system. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're in the last days of game consoles.
I agree.
I know you're shaking in your boots right now. I'm sorry.
I think they'll always be there. But I think eventually their power will falter off into more like the more Nintendo kind of style of console, where it's kind of, oh well, you're 8 years old, here's your Nintendo thing, and then when you become a teenager, you get this nice gaming PC, and I think that's what it'll evolve into.
I kind of wanted to go back to what I was earlier, because this is something I really want to talk to all two of you about. There's another person here, you just haven't heard him. About how I haven't seen any jumps, because I know you played BioShock, and you said you loved it, but there was something missing from it. You said it was...
Talking about BioShock Infinite?
Yes.
Okay.
There was just something there holding it back from being, like, the perfect game, you said, or, like... I'm trying to remember what exactly you said, because the way you worded it was very good.
I guess I think that's more of a preference thing, because I know people who love BioShock Infinite way more than BioShock 1. I'm just more of a BioShock 1 guy. I love the setting more. I thought,
I'm the complete opposite on that spectrum.
I mean, this is kind of going on a tangent, but I'll go on this real quick. BioShock 1, you enter it, it's an underwater city. All the havoc's already happened. Things have gone bad already. Things are horrible. Everyone's spliced up trying to kill you. That's normal video game AI. I don't have to interact with the AI that much. They're trying to kill me, so I'm going to try to kill them back. Whereas Infinite, you're in a breathing world. You have Elizabeth with you. So you're dealing with a lot of AI systems. You're dealing with the town people reacting to whatever you're doing. You're dealing with Elizabeth pointing out little things and interacting. I just don't think we're there quite with
that's
AI.
That's exactly what I want to say. Even that,
and that's why that really held... It didn't really hold it back, but it held it back just enough where I was looking at BioShock 1.
Everyone loves Skyrim. I don't really... I like Skyrim a lot, and I sank a lot of hours into it, because it's just...
I got bored with Skyrim really easily.
The AI of that, and like you can argue before that, Fallout and Oblivion, it's games like that, games that rely heavily on AI are still lacking in the sense of, to really immerse you in the world, you still have to deal with bugs and like repeated lines.
It's very 2-dimensional characters.
Exactly, and I think that's where I'm waiting. That's what I'm like when that's like the Nintendo 64 to the Xbox and like the Super Nintendo to the N64. Like I'm waiting for that jump in technology.
You're looking for a market improvement in this
to
generation.
where like you play a game,
a paradigm shift,
and it's so good. I like it's hard to explain exactly the way I'm trying to think.
That's
you're
the
looking
improvement
for,
you want.
You're looking for a game where your surroundings and the people that you interact with immerse yourself so far into the game where it's like you can legitimately believe that this could
and I'm
be
sure
real.
most everyone says that, and I'm sure most game developers are like, oh, we're working on that, but I feel
Oculus Rift.
We're not there yet, and I feel like these new consoles aren't going to get us anywhere closer to that. They might. I take that. They'll get us closer, but they're still not. This isn't the technology jump that I'm excited about, because I feel as the last one I was excited about was the Xbox, and that could be nostalgia when I was a kid. But I remember like you go from GoldenEye to Halo or Metal Gear Solid 1 to Solid 2.
Oh yeah,
and it's
huge
like
jump.
Huge, and you could argue like Metal Gear Solid 3 to 4 was pretty big. And obviously the graphics were a lot better in Halo 3 than they were Halo 2, but as far as like what those consoles did and how much better they did it than the previous, I don't think they're that far advanced.
Well, we don't know. We don't know yet.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I would point to a game like from what we've seen in Watch Dogs, it seems like they're doing a lot of cool system stuff, a lot of cool interactive stuff.
Well, I'm excited.
And like I know there's a feature, I'm sure you've probably heard it, where you can just walk around, and it's sort of very like Red Dead Redemption, where you're walking, you'll scan a citizen, and then something pops up like, oh, she's gonna go meet her ex, and her ex is known to be violent.
Now, my question is this: does this happen with everyone, or is it again hampered
Supposedly, it's not scripted. Supposedly, it's just a system in the game.
See,
so
that
random
I'm glad you told me that,
algorithm.
because now I'm super excited, and my PC will run that fan game awesome. But no, I'm kidding. But that's what I'm excited about. Where like when you play BioShock Infinite, and like the world hasn't collapsed yet, and you have all these AI components to it, and they fit perfectly, and it's not really scripted. And like that system works, and I kind of want to go back to Portal 2 when what was the little robot, the moron robot that you helped?
God, how do I not remember? He's voiced by Stephen Merchant. Yeah.
Okay, his character. There's a moment where you take him off his track, and he says, "Oh, now we can go anywhere. We're not on a path." He's like, "We're off the path. We can go anywhere." And it's a really good joke by Valve, because then like right after he goes, "Oh, well, not really. We still have to follow the path of the game." Like he makes that joke like right after. And it's a really good joke because there's all these games like, oh, this is an open world sandbox game and you can do what you want, but in the end,
you can't do whatever you want.
Yeah, you still have to follow these set instructions to beat the game. Grand Theft Auto, you still have to do the missions to get to the end of the game. And I guess I'm waiting for a game that breaks that as hard as it can and gets past that as much as it can.
I mean, this is all conjecture, but if you just go back to, again, Xbox 360 launch, PS3 launch, I mean, what were the big games? You got Cameo, which was kind of just your standard adventure. You got Perfect Dark, sort of standard FPS, Call of Duty FPS with some multiplayer integration. And it wasn't until, like, really Oblivion, when Oblivion hit, people were like, oh
yeah,
this
is a big deal.
Yeah, this is the next generation. And I think hopefully Watch Dogs will be it. Hopefully we'll get something that early.
Isn't Watch Dogs supposed to be a launch title for
I'm not sure. I'm sure if it's not launch title, it's launch window.
Because it's coming out in November for current consoles, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's also a launch for the new ones.
Well, hopefully that gives us that. Destiny seems to be doing some really interesting online stuff.
Like, that's something you said, like you can fight another world and like that. And I think Mass Effect 1 kind of hit it, and I think Mass Effect 2 nailed it.
I would agree.
Where it was like, you still have the path, but you can stray off that path almost as far as you can do. And I think like Fallout 3 had that, and Fallout New Vegas kind of had that, where they have a really bendable path, but it's still there no matter how much they're like, oh, you can do whatever you want. And I think Mass Effect 2 would be. I'm really excited about what. This is what I will say that I'm excited about. I'm excited about the Mass Effect 2 of the next generation. I will be excited about that game, like the perfect game. Whatever game it is, that game that everyone like universally says like this is an amazing fucking game.
And it's Mass Effect 5
in 2032. Mass Effect 24. Shepherd's daughter has to fight off the Reapers.
Daughter? Dude, this is 24. We're going like 1,500 years in the future.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm willing to bet
The Native American Indians.
I'm willing to bet developers will take advantage of the raw power and not just put it into slightly better graphics. I think it depends on the studio. Like, it looks like The Last Witness by Jonathan Blow seems to be doing some really awesome stuff. Or The Witness. I know I'm not saying the name
Well,
right.
how do you think that the fact that so many indie developers are mad at Microsoft with how they've been treated and the fact that Sony's trying to scoop them up, how do you think that will affect the market? Because even though indie games, despite their title, they are a very big deal. I mean, even with PC gaming and Steam.
I kind of want to cut you off, though, because like you said, like, the Xbox isn't going for that crowd, and then you have the PC where it's just abundant, and now you have the PlayStation, which is trying to add another chip. Chip to their
the
arsenal.
360 used to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be a big
Summer
indie
Arcade.
pusher. But then, all of a sudden, it's like they stopped caring.
I think it all depends on how they do. I think it depends on if they get the Oprah crowd, if they get the Apple crowd. If they get that mass appeal, I think they'll still support indie games, but it'll be on much the same scale as Apple, very laissez-faire. Hey, you can put it on. As for what happens after that, you'll see. Like,
Yep. I mean, we're not going to market it. That's your problem.
If the Xbox doesn't sell well, I don't know.
You made a sequel to I Made a Game with zombies in it? Well, I hope you got a Facebook page.
I mean, you have Don Matrick talking about investing $1 billion into new IP. Maybe that's something down the road. Hey,
$1 billion into a new IP.
Hey, Microsoft's. I mean, they're pretty loaded.
Well, that's part of the one of the big things about the current state of the gaming industry that I don't agree with, and I wanted to bring it up earlier, but we got involved with other things. Gaming budgets are getting a little out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you have a game like Tomb Raider, which cost roughly around $300 million to make, makes all its money
all
back.
those tessellations.
And then Square Enix complain about them not having enough money, even though they turned a profit on it. I mean, a $300 million game? Really? $300 million?
Well, speaking of this, do you think games are going to go up another $10 the next?
No.
No, I don't. I think they're as is, especially when you look at Xbox. They want to appeal to families. They're not going to say, $70, because parents will buy it, but it'll be less of a thing. And
I wouldn't be surprised if they integrated a tiered system.
I hope they do. I hope there's
that
more.
Would be amazing if they did that.
If
where it's based on the amount of content that you get in the game.
Well, based on whatever. I think if anyone's going to do that, it's going to be PlayStation. I think if Xbox is going for the crowd they're going for, they're going to emulate movies a lot more. It's all about blockbusters, that big once-a-month title. So Call of Duty will still be 60. Whatever else, Halo will still be 60. Gears of War will still be 60.
But then you'll have a game like...
But PS4, they're supporting indies. I'm sure The Witness is not going to be $60.
Oh, God, no. Probably be more like $10-15.
Yeah, so I think if that's going to come from anyone, it's going to come from Sony.
Well, I mean...
Well, PC and then
even
Sony,
talking AAA titles and not having them be $60. Like, let's take, for example... there's a game that just came out, Remember Me.
Yeah.
And it's currently selling at $60. Do you honestly think that in the next generation that a game like that, which is not really that big of a name, would honestly cost $60 if we had a tiered system? It would probably be more like a $40 game, for instance. I mean, I think that's a fair thing to try to implement with, because some games, like, you'll have a game which is only 6 hours long, but you're selling it for $60, and I feel like with that, you're not getting $60 worth of game. However, you have a game like Skyrim, which you can replay over and over and spend hundreds of hours with each playthrough, and have it cost $60 that's a completely fair price for Skyrim. I mean, right now they got that Legendary Edition, which has all the DLC for $60 or whatever. I think that's fantastic. That's a $100 deal right there.
Yeah.
I would disagree with using just game length as an indicator of price, but I do think I think that we were in a different place last generation where if you had a cheaper game, that was sort of a, okay, what's wrong with this game? Why is this a value game? Is it not as good as the rest? I think with Steam and hopefully with what PS4 will do with indies, I think the $40 game would hopefully come back, if not cheaper.
I mean, if you're having to buy $60 titles from your local car wash, there's a problem. So, I mean, like, there are several games out there which I just look at them even on launch. I go, there's no way this could be a $60 game. Like, Lollipop Chainsaw or something like that.
That would be a perfect, I think...
That's like a perfect example of a game that should be like $40, $45 at launch.
I think if it came out next generation, maybe it would have been. Maybe it'd be like, hey, this is like your horror pulp, just fun. Yeah, it's cheaper. It's not going to be your pristine Deus Ex or whatever.
Because you have to take into account that, every game has a different size budget, has different amount of people that they have to pay in order to make the game. You've got people with the Call of Duty games and the Battlefield games, which have hundreds of people working on a game simultaneously. Yeah, it's probably going to cost $60, but then you might have a game which only 50 people worked on, and you don't really need to sell it for $60 to turn that much for profit. You could easily sell it for like $35, $40. I mean, I just want to see a tiered system.
Starhawk, was that $60?
Starhawk.
Or did they make that
sounds
cheaper?
familiar, but I cannot even place
Warhawk. It was a sequel to Warhawk. Set in space.
Yeah.
Multiplayer only.
I think Mag. Mag is a perfect example.
Yeah, that as well.
Or Chrome Hounds or something.
Well, hopefully also models like free to play will hopefully, again, just vary up the price, because I think $60 only does hurt a lot of studios.
Oh, yes.
Than it helps.
Especially since if the game doesn't sell as well. It kind of. Another thing about, speaking of prices, Microsoft's making a huge push for cloud gaming. Sony is kind of doing that thing too. Do you agree or disagree with the fact that a digital download of a full retail game on release should cost $60?
I would not like it to be that, but I'm not too bothered with it just because I have so many other avenues to purchase. So if you put it at $60, I'm not going to buy it most likely, unless it's a game I'm really looking forward to that I want to buy. The day it comes out, then sure. Because,
I mean, you're not actually buying a physical copy, which eliminates an entire means of production and distribution for the game, so why wouldn't it be cheaper to buy it digitally than a physical copy? Because you see it on Amazon. Like earlier, you were looking to buy SimCity. A physical copy of it costs how much?
It was actually cheaper.
Oh yeah, the digital download was actually more expensive.
Yeah, that does make
That's a bad example. I've seen
no goddamn sense.
Yeah, that was a bad example. Sorry, I got the
you just ruined your.
I just completely contradicted everything I was building up.
It was actually, I think, $49.99, which is $20 cheaper. Well, it was like $17 cheaper than this $57 they wanted for the digital copy. I mean, I can kind of understand Amazon's theory because they have to.
Well, they have to pony up the space.
No, because I think more people. If I'm going to buy a game from Amazon from a PC, I really, really, really don't want to have to buy the physical copy, and they know that. So they're obviously. I have a feeling they're like, well, we're just going to charge you more for digital because that's what's in demand higher. Because I don't know about any of you. If you can get it now, obviously that's where I would argue that they should be the same price because I can digitally download it now, or I can go out and either order it or have to go buy it. Like, it's much more convenient, and I think they charge that conveniency. Now, should they charge full price? I don't know. Maybe like a $5.
Yeah, a $5 I think is a fair compromise.
I don't know. I do want to say this though. When it comes to any idea and any like price, and none of us know what it's like to run a company like EA or Microsoft or Sony. So the practices they do, I feel as though people are too hard. Because, I mean, even, this is going to get really, the fourth wall is going to get broken right here. Even my job, like, people complain about things, and it's like, none of these people work how I do. And, like, even, like, any job in general, this is going to be a moral lesson for all of you. Like, you don't know, you complain about certain things and you don't understand, and you get mad about certain things, but you don't understand that, like, maybe there's a reason that happens. So, when it comes to these prices and when it comes to these practices, like, there's probably a reason why, and we don't understand it, or maybe they're really stupid, and I have a feeling they're not all stupid.
Well,
So, I mean, when it comes to, like, they're the same prices, there's probably a reason.
I'm just not terribly worried.
Because here's the thing, if the digital copy was cheaper, then no one wants to buy the physical copy, and now they have all these physical copies.
Well,
that
you
aren't
already
selling.
see that with something like Steam.
Yeah. That's why you have Steam, you got the Apple Store, you have these emerging companies getting into the space, and they're not going to price it at $60 because they don't have that. It's not set in stone for them. So
well,
I think,
no, because I mean, like when Bioshock right now is $59.99 on Steam.
Well, that's probably because
it's also a huge IP. It's pretty much the biggest game that's come out this year. So I
think most big games on Steam are usually full price, and then you'll get like
But then 2 weeks later, it dropped $10.
I want to say Borderlands was was full price for like a week, and then
Yeah,
it went down to
I mean,
$49.99.
Even on console, that price drop happened real quick.
But I would again look to who these guys are competing with, especially Xbox versus. I would say Xbox is versus Apple at this point. Also PS4, whereas PS4 is also competing with PC and Xbox, but not necessarily Apple. And I would just look at these different price models. Like Apple, you can buy games for 99 cents, and now, but with the iPad getting more and more powerful, we're seeing comparable experiences. I'm sure Xbox is looking at that, going, okay, we need to change this up. We need to show people, hey, we also have 99-cent game. We also have $2 games that really that PSN's already doing their PlayStation Minis or whatever. I'm sure PlayStation's going to look at. You could tell with PSN Plus, they've looked at Steam. Oh, look at this summer holiday sale. It's huge. People love it. Let's do something comparable.
Let's sell all the Resident Evil games for 75% off.
Microsoft owns like a pretty good amount of Apple, right? See, I wouldn't be too upset if they tried to make a move to incorporate the iPad in the Xbox One. I wish it would, because
Smart Glass.
Like you said, you can buy Limbo on your PS Vita and play it on your PS3, which is something that I feel as though Microsoft has to push for some sort of.
They are.
Well, that's another. I'm glad that you brought up the whole Limbo cross-buy thing, because there's.
I feel as though I feel as though they should seek something broader than just Surface. They really need to.
I'm sure they're even thinking that right now.
Like let's try to get Android involved. Let's try to get Apple involved. Let's try to get
I don't think they're going to do that, because
they don't have Apple.
They're an OS company, so. I doubt they're going to go for Android. Hey, we do make Windows 8, but hey, we're in Android now. Forget Windows 8. That was dumb.
Let's just make a console that's Linux.
Yeah, see,
I'm not saying. I'm saying like if you offer products on multiple.
I'm sure Microsoft.
I guess I'm going back to like my developer thing. I feel as though you make more money if you have your product on multiple platforms, so you can hit more people than just trying to be like, hey, buy a Surface so you can play on your Xbox, and I don't think that's a big enough reason to spend $1,000 on
Let's be realistic about these two companies. Their console game market is not the biggest part of either of these companies.
Yeah.
PlayStation, their major business is financial stuff. That's what their big thing is, insurance and stuff, yeah.
And Jesus, movies.
Microsoft, they're big into OSs, they're big into computers, they're big into licensing deals. So really, these...
And Sony has the Ericsson, you forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, this, not small, but it's very... compared to what their main business is, this isn't their priority. So
we forgot the product placement. The Sony Ericsson, you can take your cassettes with you wherever you go and listen to you.
Shut up! You're fired.
I told you you said before the show we had that.
They're not paying me a dime. No.
Speaking of which, Microsoft Zune, check it out. It's powerful stuff.
The Zune is such a misunderstood
also
handheld.
Discontinued.
No, it's not.
MP3.
We're getting paid for this, Kyle.
They don't make the product.
This podcast brought to you by Monster Energy.
No, this podcast brought to you by Zune and the Sony Ericsson.
Or better yet, this podcast brought to you by New Coke. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen, guys.
Pepsi 2. It's got twice the calories and tastes twice as bad.
But no, I'm glad that you brought up the whole Limbo cross-buy thing with Sony, because of that little mandate that Sony said that your PS4 titles, they must be playable on the Vita. Like sitting here dastardly with their hand, they must be playable on the Vita. And I'm sitting here going, so in theory I can play Battlefield 4 on my Vita.
God, that sounds so bad.
That sounds so awesome.
That sounds so bad.
I can play
obviously the
Battlefield
servers
4
aren't going to be connected.
on the can. What part of this is not awesome?
What? And I'm speaking specifically on like a planes, like that would be bad. No, that was one reason why if I were ever to get back in the market of a console, I would probably, like I said, I would probably either go the new Wii, and like just have fun with that, or I would get a Vita and a PlayStation, because I remember they had a really cool commercial for MLB The Show, like I think it was 13 or 12.
Yeah,
and like he's playing it on his and
then he
TV,
takes it out,
and then he takes it with his Vita, which is so goddamn awesome. Like he can. Like, and I like sports games, and I like baseball. Like, baseball games are fun, and it's fucking awesome. Like, I can go to the post office, and I'm standing in my long-ass line, and I whip out my Vita, and I'm playing my Dynasty, and making the fucking Red Sox win the World Series 4 times in a row. That sounds awesome. Now, like, the Xbox doesn't have that, because you could maybe argue, like, maybe the Surface will one day be able to do that.
No, because Microsoft's really not into the whole handheld gaming market. That's not their That's not their big thing. I mean, if Microsoft was going to try to get into the handheld gaming market, they would have done it a long time ago. And even if they did, it would have been a bad decision on their part because you're competing with Nintendo. And then you have to compete with Sony, who's been in second place for the longest time with handhelds. For Microsoft to enter the handheld gaming market like that, they would easily be in third place and stay there.
Well, I don't know. The Zune is a really good,
well,
really good explanation
I think we discussed
how they can do very well if they enter in a market. They're not.
Sure. Well, I think we discussed a lot about PS4 and Xbox. Now, Danny, what would you like to see? E3's around the corner. What do you want to see out of Xbox?
Xbox?
Microsoft and Sony.
I would like to see... I'm anxious to see what they're going to do with Xbox Live. That's really the big thing for me because it's like I ditched you for Sony because of Xbox Live. I want to see if you can coax me into buying an Xbox One, if you're going to improve your service at all. Chances are somewhere along the line I am going to wind up buying an Xbox One. The only thing I'm going to do is duct tape over the Kinect eye sensor.
Yeah, we actually didn't talk about the security risk on that, which scares the shit out of us.
The PS4
we did.
has a counterpart to the Kinect, and it is coming with the PS4.
Is that confirmed?
I believe so, because they were showing it off during that conference as in, here's the controller, here's the new Move sensor that you have now. So, I guess possibly that same privacy issue could be on the PS4, but they're not really openly advertising this whatever eye interface that they have. Another thing that we didn't really even touch on was DRM, which was the biggest fear when it came to Sony before their conference because they patented that disc tagging technology which could potentially be used to filter out used games. Sony has come out and said that the PS4 will be able to play used games, but that's a very broad statement. Technically, the Xbox One, even though they've for the most part come out and said that there's going to be a used game system where you're going to be able to buy a key. At least they've come out and kind of said what they're going to do. Sony's just kind of like, yeah, it'll play used games, but we're not going to tell you how.
I'm not...
And
isn't the used game market kind of dead? Because most games now are being sold digitally, and you can't really sell a digital copy.
GameStops are still open.
Yeah, but for how long?
It can't be completely dead.
I just feel like it's a dying concept. Then how about that? Cause
there's that one store in the local mall where I buy used games all the time.
Yeah, they're like PlayStation 1 games.
Well, PlayStation 1, 2, 3. I buy them all. Because I like that store better than GameStop.
Well, what are you looking for?
What am I looking for? All right, I will tell you because this is going to happen in E3. Gabe Newell is going to come down from the ceiling on a wire, and it's going to be like explosions
and the wire snaps.
Smoke. No, God, no! Like a giant earthquake happens and LA is destroyed. No, I love Gabe Newell, and like there's going to be smoke, and the fucking Half-Life 3 symbol is going to come up, and I will die with happiness. And that doesn't happen. This E3. Look, I'm being dead ass serious. If they don't fucking announce Half-Life 3, I am going to be goddamn disappointed.
One problem with your dream. Valve have said they're not going to be at E3 this year.
They're never at E3.
Damn it, no! It's all the jokes.
Why would they show up? Valve, what? I don't like Valve when it comes to
Gabe Newell's going to listen to this and he's going to change his mind. And that Valve's not going to go, it's just going to Gabe Newell and he's going to jump out from the ceiling.
To me, Valve is almost as bad as EA when it comes to not listening to what their customers want. Hey, we want Half-Life 3. Make this and you will make money. I don't feel
Team
like
Fortress 2 shit.
Hats.
What I'm actually most excited about is Star Wars. I'm really...
Yeah, that DICE teaser trailer really has...
Not excited, but just... I'm waiting, because I'm not really excited about the new movies. I could care less. All you other shitty Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Electronic Arts said, hey, we'll talk about it. I doubt they have really anything to show, but...
I'm hoping they'll have maybe a really pre-alpha.
I doubt they'll show that at E3.
They may just announce.
Or an announcement would be awesome. That's what I'm most likely looking
I think the most you'll get is concept art.
The thing about
DICE
is that they put up a teaser an E3 trailer, and they got the head guy at DICE, and he pretty much came out and said, yeah, we're going to be showcasing Battlefield 4. You already know about that. But we also have other things up our sleeve that we are very excited to showcase at E3. if you remember DICE from last E3, the only thing they talked about was Battlefield 3 and Premium.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they're going to do more than talk about Battlefield 4, what other DICE properties do they have? Well, let's see. Medal of Honor is now officially dead.
Mm-hmm.
They're completely scrapping that project.
It would be rather funny if they made a new Medal of Honor and that was it. I would be so mad. Like, I fucking thought this was Star Wars!
Yeah, well...
You mean like my Jedi robe and lightsaber, like throwing the lightsaber on the ground?
It's kind of like they kind of go, oh, well, we're going to quit Medal of Honor, consolidate the resources into Battlefield now, and make Battlefield an annual franchise, which I think is a huge mistake, but that's a topic for another day. You also have Mirror's Edge, and then you have...
EA?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What else does DICE have?
Well, no,
they've
got... Well, I mean, at least Frostbite has Dragon Age 3, Mass Effect 4...
Yeah,
I think a few other games. So maybe that's what they're talking about.
The new Dragon Age game. Well, that's not developed by DICE though. That's BioWare.
That's true.
I mean, they would have to show off things that they are personally developing.
Well, and that's the thing.
Because Battlefield 4 is your Frostbite.
I want Battlefield
demo.
3 almost about half as much as I want Half-Life 3, but. Battlefront 3, like, I remember they teased Battlefront 3, and it was, like, you can fly from space to ground, and, like, I'm thinking, like, how many fucking awesome hours I could have playing this game, because I love Star Wars.
Combine Rogue Squadron and Battlefront into one.
And that sounds like an amazing game, so hopefully that's what they'll tease, and that's what I'm most looking forward to, and also I want to see a little bit, actually, I don't know if I want to hear more about Watch Dogs. I don't want to see much more, I just want to hear, because I don't really like spoilers, I try to stay away from that. I would like to hear a little bit more about Watch Dogs.
Even though
that's the game that's probably the game I'll probably buy when it's released.
I'm sure it'll be showcased, but they kind of already had their glorified demo with the Sony conference of Watch Dogs. So.
I hate playing games. I hate buying games at $60. Like I plan on getting BioShock, or Brutal Shock Infinite when it comes out. Hopefully that'll be in the summer sale. But like Gabe Newell, you listen to this. I would pay $60. I'd pay $100 to play Half-Life 3. I would do it. I would. I want Half-Life 3.
$100 for Half-Life 3?
It's going to be an amazing
I'm kind of glad I only paid $15 for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. God, just saying.
He's going to come down on a wire, and it's going to be like WrestleMania when they would come down from the ceiling.
Macho Man Randy Savage gets resurrected just for the Half-Life 3 announcement. No, in fact, the Half-Life symbol doesn't even... He just comes down on the wire, pyro, and then he just goes like this.
He just holds up three fingers,
and then walks off stage. That's it.
And then it's April Fool's joke. Oh,
even though it's June.
Actually, no, never mind. I was going to say Blizzard, but they don't.
But moving on, Kyle, what are you expecting from Microsoft? What do you want to see?
What do you want to see from E3?
Just games.
Honestly, it's just games. Like I'm a hardcore PC right now, so I'm good on services. I like what Xbox is doing. I think that the online stuff could be cool. It may not be, most likely not be, but I'm excited for a world that's has always connected consoles, or at least the possibility to use that feature.
But I don't want to be always online.
Sure. No, I mean, we differ on that. So really it's just games for me. I want to see what Xbox has. I want to see if Sony has anything more.
I want to fill back in. Destiny. I'm excited. I want to see that.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited for the fact that
you're going to see it at Sony's press conference.
Yeah, I'm excited for the fact that I can play Destiny on my Vita when it comes out. So my body is ready.
So I'll say that, Star Wars and Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited about.
Okay, what about from the Sony side of things? You want to see anything from Sony, or do you just not care?
I just think, I'm talking about E3 in general. Like, I want to see more from Destiny, and I want to hear about Star Wars, and that's it. E3-wise.
Okay. So that's
like I'm looking forward to watching the conferences and seeing what they say. I have a feeling I won't be shocked at all.
Oh yeah.
Other than maybe Nintendo. Nintendo's the one I feel is
Nintendo's not going to be there.
Yeah, Nintendo's not going to be there. Valve's not going to be there.
Really?
Which I think was an incredibly smart move on both their parts, because this goes to an even bigger thing.
Valve's never been in it, really, except for that one Sony press conference.
The only thing that I this is kind of going off on the side here, I think E3, especially the past few years, has been nothing but a huge joke. Look at Microsoft's conference last year. Oh, Smart Glass. Now here's Usher.
Yeah. And even like, what was it?
We could have spent money making games instead of having Usher sing to you.
Oh, I throw in another towel. I want to see like Ubisoft and EA, and
joined together as one.
No, I want to see the game developers and publishers conferences because those are the ones I enjoy more than the actual consoles because I feel as though they offer a little bit more in the department of games and.
Well, when it comes to the Sony side of things with E3, I would like to see what they have to say about PlayStation Plus. I would like more clarification on the used game policy.
Yeah.
I would also like to see because Sony's really big about the Blu-ray format. I want to see what they could potentially do with the format itself, but I don't know if that's necessarily a gaming conference thing. Like potentially make the discs carry more space instead of just 50 gigs.
I wonder how much of that issue is now that most stuff is going to be also digital as well.
Yeah, I want to know I want to have more clarification on their stance on cloud gaming because obviously Xbox is making that huge push for cloud gaming, which. Not a fan of cloud gaming. I think that's a huge mistake.
But even with the Gaikai stuff that they were sort of talking about, the possibilities of, like having all your games on a cloud gaming service or a la on live.
There's also another concern that I have with the fact that with my PS3 here, everything that I've purchased, I'm not sure if that's even going to carry over to the PS4, and if it doesn't, that disappoints me greatly.
If Xbox can't carry to Xbox One, I doubt cell architecture is going to be
that's
portable.
a big thing about both of them is the lack of backwards compatibility, and I think that's a huge mistake, because you buy a new console and all your previous games are useless now.
That bothers me less than it did last generation for some reason. I think maybe it's just because I have disposable income now, but I can see that being an issue for a lot of people.
Well, that's because when
you're not getting rid of your old console.
Well, you can argue, like, what if the service shuts down something?
Yeah, I mean, look at the fact that Halo 2 servers are shut down now, even though on the back of the box it advertises that...
Well, not even online, just Xbox Live. You can't get that game anymore. If you deleted it, you can't get it back.
That's a big problem with stuff like cloud gaming and things like that, is that at any time, your $60 that you invested can become useless.
I mean, look at SimCity. I really want to find an accurate review of that game because I have yet to find one.
Don't listen to Amazon. You're not going to find
accurate because it's just like 1 stars all around.
The 1-star bar on Amazon is all the way to the right, while the 5-star one is non-existent.
I've watched some people play the game and it looks fun. So
personally, I think when it comes to because I am going to get a gaming PC so that way I can join you guys with the Master Race. But here's the thing. Consoles will always have those franchises like your Metal Gears.
You know what? They won't if we stop buying consoles. So everyone, listen to me. I'm pleading to you. Don't buy consoles.
Metal Gear Solid is too intelligent for PC gamers.
Don't buy consoles. Buy a PC and then just force developers to make games for the PCs. Because there's already more they already do that exclusives for the PCs than there are. Because I mean, you have like games like StarCraft.
I would say Nintendo's got them beat.
Oh, you might be right.
Well, you convinced 2 of us. Now you just gotta have, like 100 million more people. So
guys,
you start that.
I will love you all.
If you just all switch to PC.
But it would solve this huge problem of not being able to play exclusives.
Having a console, to me, satisfies this need that it's nice to have something in like a controller in your hand. Yeah. That's what it's like. When I have a PC, it's like, oh yeah, I just got done filling out a 5-page paper. Guess now I can play BioShock on this. Whereas,
and it looks so much better than my Xbox 360.
I don't know. MGS4, I think, can be comparable to some PC games on Ultra.
Oh,
I don't know about you, but
maybe the rendered parts.
Oh my god. Wait, there are no rendered parts.
Yeah, it's all in-game.
Yeah. The Fox engine at GDC blew my mind. Because it looks even more realistic.
It's caused Raiden Ring of Death.
Because it's the PlayStation.
The heat carried over.
Man, I can't wait to see what the Konami booth looks like, because it's only going to be Metal Gear, and it's like, yeah, we don't have anything else because everything else bleeds money. We got a new Silent Hill HD collection coming out. You guys will love it.
We have been talking for an hour and 23 minutes, so I think we should wrap it up. It was a good... Anything else?
It was a very healthy discussion.
I'm glad nothing was thrown. because I used to be an Xbox fanboy, and I was like, oh, Master Race Xbox, and then I had a computer, and I was like, fuck. I sold my Xbox as soon as I could, and not to say, like, I still miss playing games like, I can't play, like, Madden now, which kind of sucks. I enjoyed playing Madden, you know, the casual push A and throw to receiver A. And
Madden is just one of those franchises where I'm like, why do you buy it every year?
No, okay, actually, hold on. This is actually, I will be excited to see the football and sports games of the new consoles, because now that they have more processing power and more graphics, I will be excited, because they're like, we fixed tackling, and it's still like,
what's the
he
point?
Like moves a yard to the left and like latches onto the runner and tackles him.
What's the point of having a graphically advanced football game? I mean, seriously,
we might as well just go back to Tekken 93, or not Tekken, Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, I don't understand why people make a big deal about Madden having like these super awesome graphics, because what do you see when you play Madden? The backs of jerseys in a football field.
Hey man,
while listening to a
you
really
say
bad,
that, but then play like NFL Fever 2002.
And then I sit over here with Gran Turismo and I laugh at you because it's an exclusive franchise to the PlayStation. I'm like, God damn, this looks good.
That is actually something I guess I should say I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do, because every year it's like, oh, every year they say things get better, and they haven't. And now they actually have more processing power and graphics and better graphics to maybe actually make better sports games that can be more lifelike. And
wow, they really got the dead look in Peyton Manning's eyes exact.
Those laser eyes.
This is great.
He can kill you with a stare, but. Like, you know, they always complain like the defense is bad, and maybe they can fix things with
maybe
AI
they'll have a
and
mini
stuff.
game in the next Madden that'll make me buy it, which is you can shoot lasers at football teams like the New England Patriots.
It's just like a blitz mode, an NFL blitz mode, where you can tackle players. And
it's like the apocalypse.
Not tackle players, but like pseudo body slam players.
It's like Madden 2014 Blood Dragon. That's what I'm hoping for. So yeah, I guess we've been rambling on for too long now. So any last words?
Bye.
Buy a PC. Oh, Kyle's on the train too now.
Make it your own. Make it